How much power did you found on TLRC, Jamie?
On the last turbo build at 50 psi was 86 horsepower.
86 horsepower, 50 psi.
That's a big number.
And a much broader power band. Quicker spool, flatter boost.
Yeah, usually when people try it, they're shit kittens. You want to see some more bad design?
Yeah.
Some more regrind bad design? Let me show you another bad regrind design.
I want to come out to your place and run some bad designs on the dyno. Like that would be pretty trick to do some comparison work, you know?
I don't see any point of doing it on the dyno. If you want to see how unstable it is, I'd throw it on the Spintron and spin it on there. You'll see it start launching the valves way sooner.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a measured cam motion. That's why you could see it has that right shape for the cam motion.
Okay.
And if you were to do the valve motion, it would end up being more, symmetrical. So this is cam. This tells me it's cam because it's skewed off to one side. So I measured somebody else's cam. First of all, the profile is symmetrical, right? So their profiles. So I look at this for the cam, and I know this profile wasn't designed for a rocker arm. It's not designed for a rocker arm where the pivot's on one side. This would be fine for your conventional OHV type of rocker arm. Does that make sense? Because
I think so.
When you take the OHV rocker arm, you have the cam lift like that, and then depending on the rocker ratio, you literally get the bigger version of the same curve.
Yeah.
With OHV rocker arm, right? You might have a little bit variation in terms of how you set it up, but generally speaking, that's what you're going to get, right? So I look at this cam here, and the reason why I say it's bad design is because it has this symmetrical type of shape, even though it should be asymmetrical. It should be more like this. Right now, we also got this weird thing in here.
How is that so noisy in comparison to the other ones we've seen?
Okay, so look at this. See how this acceleration go like this, should go like this. So why has it got this weird side bump like that? This is when the regrinder splits the nose of they split the profile. You ever hear that? Split the nose?
Like for different lobes on the same cam?
So it basically it'll be this. If you had an opening side and a closing side, they add duration into the middle that essentially just zero, right? So whatever the peak lift is of the nose, they might say, okay, I'll split it. I'll add 5 degrees at the nose just to get a 5 degree bigger cam. Are you following what I'm saying? You could do that on a regrinder. So this bad design is an attempt to add duration, but doing it mechanically by splitting the master and adding duration right at the nose of the master.
Is that a practice that's still done today?
Yeah. Uh-huh. All the manual regrinding guys, they all do shit like this. Right? But what you get is you get this jerk, or you get this acceleration like reversal. Right?
And what
if the peak lift doesn't change for 10 degrees, it's going to have zero acceleration for 10 degrees. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, if it goes from this decelerating thing and then all of a sudden it goes to zero and has to come back down again, that's not good for any high RPM stability.
What is the when you say that people are still regrinding cams, like, is it because there isn't a set of cams available for their engine, or they're just being cheap? Like, what would be the reason to go out and modify an existing camshaft versus just purchasing a shelf solution?
Well, assuming that there's a shelf solution, right? But a lot of times what you get, like what I find with a lot of the people that work with the regrind companies is they a lot of them all have hero fantasies. Like, I need to find the special combo for my setup.
Yeah, that's That's rough because that unfortunately is in a lot of places in our industry where they're like looking for a messiah instead of just following a proven path. And it sure does leave a lot of space in our market for the latest, greatest, and for the proven things to be um, disregarded as an old attempt, you
Yeah.
know? And that's rough because, especially in the way that the internet markets things, in the pace of which the internet markets things, you could sell a lot of bad stuff in a short period of time, and the checks are cashed before people figure out they're not in a better place and possibly are in a worse place.
Yeah, a lot of times you wouldn't know because, I mean, Jamie will tell you like the Honda drag racing is dominated by regrides. It's not dominated, but they certainly make up a large contingency of people.
especially in a turbo world.
Yeah, like what they're switching off to go to the TLRC. Look, they're going from the regrind, the cam that everybody has been saying is the best for however long, right? And they're what are we up 50? How much power did you found on TLRC, Jamie?
On the last turbo build at 50 psi was 86 horsepower
86 horsepower, 50 psi, free horsepower.
It's a big number.
and a much broader power band,
Yeah.
quicker spool, flatter boost. It
Yeah,
almost
usually when people try it, they get kittens.
You have you have all that data put together in one place, Jamie.
I do.
That's part of his recipe show.
That's not public stuff. That's stuff that you work on your customers.
Yeah, we're putting it together and compiling it to see if we can feed that to the public. And again, some of this we can bleep this out, but what we're looking to do, and I shared this with Dave and the team a while back. This one manufacturer, I'm sure you heard of, has this cam called the.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about that cam before.
So I don't know where the hell, and maybe I missed it. Maybe that was before my time in Honda drag racing, where this has just become the one stop for a majority of. As much as race cars are cool, and the drag race stuff, the street guys are the mass. Those are the guys that are on every corner.
Yeah,
This combo with the stock block, somehow somebody somewhere along the way ran that combo, made whatever they made for power, and because it didn't blow up or break, it became like the go-to for the factory block stuff. And every time one comes on the dyno, I call Brandon or I'll send a message to Dave. And I think the last go around, Brandon asked the customer, where did you hear about the or where did this combo come from? And it was, I just went online and that was what someone ran. And that's what I always hear as the combo. So part of the goal for the recipe, given the voice that I have and some of the guys around me, do the comparison, install that versus the Ultra and even maybe even the Tuner series, which I still think the Tuner 3 is still the best cam for the stock block, and put that info out. And then along with that comes some intake manifold stuff. There's a lot of intake manifolds floating around, and guys put them on because they're pretty. So I think some cam testing combined with some manifold testing across a couple different spectrums to kind of change that narrative.
Yeah, it's weird. I think people just uh, people want to be different and special more than they want to be fast and
Yeah.
good. You know,
they think they're doing the right thing.
like I'm not like look. We use Kinslers. I like Kinslers, great company or whatever. But you got guys that want to use that $3,000 manifold that doesn't make fucking power because it's magnesium and it's $3,000, and they can, I don't know, attract chicks with it. Fuck, I don't know.
What's the power difference between that manifold and something that than
Oh,
another
since so
manifold?
long ago, I just know it makes less. You know.
We'll find out soon. I have a couple customers on. As a tuner, I'm lucky, kind of lucky to be able to have all of those customers available that have all those different combos, and they don't know what's out there. They don't know, how many guys are doing what we're doing with this with testing. It's not many. Not many guys They'll usually find something that works, and it's usually that they'll find something that works that does not break, and then they stick with it instead
Right.
of
We'll see. I sent Shane T a set of, or I talked to Shane. I don't know if you know Shane. Everybody knows
Yeah.
Shane. Yeah.
Everybody knows Shane.
Shane tuned our K drag race cars in '04 when we first switched to Motec, and he was still working at Motec. So like Shane's like a longtime industry friend. He was like Rado, who's like one of my best friends. He was Rado's tuner during the whole NHRA period. I sent I sent him and Ostrom a set of those new cams. So let's see what they'll do. Because he's like his last dyno, he was pushing 1,800 horsepower.
Yeah, I saw that. That's super impressive.
I think he's gonna make at least another 100, maybe 200.
Man, I'd buy you a beer.
I drink it.
Out of Berkeley, California, they do the prep on the cars. Skunk2 does the engine. An incredibly potent package. Make sure he gets his first ever career win.
Did you ever watch any of those Bain Racing videos?
I did. I'm actually really excited to listen to him talk more because you sent me that photo that you sent yesterday with the port box, and those guys. This opportunity with a guy that knows camshafts and a guy that knows cylinder heads, and you have your whole Skunk2 facility that has the dynos and the Spintron, and like it's pretty cool. So I'd be interested to hear him talk about uh, aspirated stuff and boosted stuff and pressure ratios across the engine with boosted stuff. Um, yeah, I'm excited to kind of listen to him speak more.
I saw his videos and I'm like, oh, this guy's actually doing the math. This is cool. So like not many people doing the math and listen to him talk. It's like, okay, we're on the same page. It's like he's out in Australia, but we're speaking the same language. I think he's doing a real good job sharing that information, and he's involved with some Einstein motors or something like that. And they're trying to build like technical resource for like hardcore engine performance people, I believe. But I reached out to him and I invited him to join us to do a reaction video of his last episode because he touches on so many different things that we've talked about in technical difficulties that I'd like to like his last video, and we could put up the link for people to watch because I think they should watch it. Get them some traffic. It's good info.
LSA is the low separation angle between intake and exhaust. So how far apart they are. So 114 will be here, 106 will be here. So we're moving these two lobes apart, and it changes how much overlap.
But he actually compared the naturally aspirated pro stock Honda type of engines to actual pro stock engine efficiencies, like overhead valve pro stock engine efficiencies. And so I think it'd be interesting, since he's talking about that stuff, to actually tell him, because his information on the Honda Pro Stock stuff, it's a bit skewed because I don't know where he's getting his information from. But if we gave him the real data, and then I also wanted to flow test some throttle bodies to see if it fell within his theory. And like if it doesn't, then the discussion would be, how do we harmonize the theory with the empirical observation?
Right. Right.
Because ultimately, like, the theory is great, but over the years, I've really just become, you just got to test it. You pick a starting point and just keep bracketing and moving in a direction until you hit, you just basically solving chokes, uncorked chokes.
Yeah.
Big choke versus small choke, like last night.
He's choking. Somebody help! We need a doctor.
Help is on the way! Oh no, work with me!
Yeah.
It's just it's tough because like who's gonna buy 5 sets of ITBs? You know?
Yeah.
That guy.
He saw my cabinet. And it's like
You've got
obsolete
data
licenses.
going up in sizes on that?
Oh yeah, I've ITB testing. I've gone through and tested them from 70 all the way up to 5, and then we found some choke points. Even though Kinzer was designing and making these throttles larger, the port openings didn't match half of the head profiles. Like some of their 67s to were all based on a port opening. In this particular case, sent them in 2016. So they're still designing these throttles and sending them, and they've changed their port openings, and none of them match. So we took a set. Dave modified a set that I had set up, sent a template for the Skunk port opening, the entry, and we found another 900 RPM in the power band and probably another 15 horsepower, 10 horsepower.
Wow.
And we just keep opening them and opening them and opening. And right now, that's the biggest I have now until Dave's done with either the machinery or some other muscle configuration. But I can't make them big enough to feed this thing. I mean, I have essentially a one-off set of throttles right now, and they're still too small, and it's the largest that's in the industry available.
Yeah.
Still too small.
Yeah, like remember Jay, we were talking about the Panigale V4 engine before, right?
Yeah.
And if you took the size of their throttle body and you sort of made it proportional to our displacement, it's like that means we need to use like an 8 millimeter throttle body,
Right.
you know. But then that's an engine with low piston speed, you know.
Yeah, it's like a 40-something millimeter stroke.
Right. And we got this ridiculous piston speed. So the interesting thing with all of these theories is sort of what changes when you're at 7,400 feet per minute, as opposed to like F1 engines like 5,500 feet per minute, something like that.
Right.
And it sort of goes back to some of the stuff we've been reading on, even Pro Stock, where this short deck, where Pro Stock just kept making the deck shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter, increasing the piston speed. And the only theory behind solving the increase in piston speed was just making sure that the head and the feeding throttle large enough to support the airspeed.
Well, the mean piston speed wouldn't change because that's driven by the stroke, but it just changed. The rod ratio obviously changes the action of when it's going from slow to fast.
That dwell area, it'll come off of the dwell faster from TDC, and except that's where they had to essentially just keep making the port bigger and bigger and bigger and throttle bigger and bigger and bigger to support that. As the piston came off TDC faster and faster, they just needed more air to support that.
Yeah, it's the all motor stuff right now. They're running like 280 at 50 is pretty common duration. And
Yeah.
that's too big, if you ask me. Like if you could shorten that up, you could pick up probably some torque, a bunch of torque.
Well, 280 at 50 at 30 cubic inches or something.
They're 165.
Yeah, 280 at 50 is pretty righteous on 400 inches.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a ton of duration.
The only reason why I think it works is because it needs the air. So it's, the extra duration to get the extra air is worth more than the torque that you get by closing the intake valve sooner.
Right.
And I think
what's the cranking compression on an engine like that, Jamie? Like do you know offhand what the cranking compression is on your engine?
200-ish.
Wow. That's that sound. That's that pop.
Yeah,
That's on the 9cc dome stuff at 5 RPR now. I don't know what it is. It's probably pegged the compression gauge. I don't know.
maybe we just troll people and just tell them the latest piston and it's got a lower dome than their garbage.
I am evil Homer. I am evil Homer. I am evil Homer. I am evil Homer.
We don't troll people because we're not trying to mislead them. We're trying to bring them into the Skunk2 camp and utilize.
Yeah, but you have to. You know what? You have to be. You have to first. You gotta be willing to say, yeah, high dome piston is gross. Because if you still think high dome piston is great, then go away. Because
No, well, it's a disruptor.
Yeah. Right. So I think people right now, like, what's the big volume that they got now?
11cc.
11cc. So there won't be more with a flatter dome. Granted, they have a smaller chamber, but still, I mean, nobody's massaging the way that they're massaging. You know, they got the Lego version of the piston.
Literally, I mean, it looks like a Lego block.
Yeah. This is all stuff that, like, watch that Bain Racing video. He touches on all these things, and it would be great just to, you guys can drill him for once.
Yeah. No, I'm interested in hearing. I really appreciate listening to people talk about the flow bench versus the math.
Yeah.
And the different orders of charge mass and how they're entering the port and the airspeed and managing all of that through different engine speed ranges. That stuff's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know much about it, but I would like to know more for sure.
Well, it's funny because in All Motor, for the last 10 years, they've had all sorts of restrictions in their system. And so they're optimizing with those restrictions. So the engines are like, we can do anything to them. They're just not responsive because they're just choked.
We saw last night. We tested a header last night. So Dave and I have been going back and forth with this. Well, really, me 4.2-1 versus a 4-1. I had a 4.2-1 header designed for the program a while back, and it's sort of what we've been using because we tested it right before I made a head change to Dave's head. And going to the 4.2-1 picked up power. So using that at the time it was a 37 millimeter valve, obviously choked. We gained some power, 4 horsepower, whatever the case may be, back to back. Consistently tested it versus the 4-1. So we stuck with it. And as we started to unchoke the head, the ITB, and optimized cam timing, yesterday we decided to go back and redo that same test again. And it was funny, it flipped the other way, where the 4-1 now, as we started to uncork the head and the intake, became the winner. So as we're uncorking this engine and optimizing, we're having to go back and retest certain things that we're doing to optimize a choked head. Now, as we optimize the good head and the bigger inlets and such, we're having to go back and essentially redesign. It's like a total redesign of everything we know.
He had a highly efficient small straw, and I just rather just use a big straw.
I don't think there's anyone right now that can replicate what we did on Sunday at that track. Every Wednesday, I'm going to track. Every Sunday, I'm going to track. And then every other day where I can think of testing something, I'm going to the dyno to go test it. And I think everyone knows, and the word is starting to get up. We won't need anything bigger than the 106 to do what we need to do. I know I can go at the current weight with the 106 in the right air. I can go 8s, bottom 9s, high 8s.